Prepare to get gas because it's time for the Week in Gear, the show where I bring you the absolute best guitar gear released this week. This week, IK Multimedia crams $250,000 worth of tone into a teeny tiny pedal. Ibanez unleashes an absolute masterpiece of Japanese shred weaponry, and Fender celebrates 30 years of the ultimate gigging amplifier. Maybe not ultimate, but it's pretty popular. However, the most important piece of news this week is that TWIG editor Victor, hey Victor, has a new addition to the family, and they're all finally home safely and having sleepless nights, I'm sure. Please join me in the comments section by wishing Victor and his family a huge congratulations. Thank you for all that you do. The sponsor for this episode is Radial Engineering. More about that in a bit. Quick update on making the show audience funded. We just passed 25% of our first goal. So as a special bonus, next week I will be announcing a contest to win some lovely new gear which will only be open to Patreon members and YouTube channel support members. If you want to support the channel, the Patreon link is in the video description and the YouTube join button is somewhere on the screen. It would be great to get this show completely audience funded, so if you fancy joining, please do. Now let's kick off this week's gear list with a tiny pedal that holds, frankly, an absurd amount of money inside it, digitally. If you've ever wanted to own a real Dumble overdrive special, you essentially need a spare 150,000 notes, give or take, just lying around. IK Multimedia has decided to save you a second mortgage by taking two incredibly rare Dumble combos from their private vault, and cramming them into a mini pedal. There's a lot of cramming in this episode. I think I've said that more than once. They've just done it digitally. It's not that hard. This is the IK Multimedia Tone X1 Double Special Limited Edition, which sounds a bit like either a new range of guitars from Fender or a burger from Burger King. But it isn't, it's a pedal. IK utilized their Tone X V2 AI machine modeling, ooh, fancy, to capture two historic eras of the legendary cascading clean to overdrive circuit, which was a late 70s 50-watt Dumble, OD50WX, and an overdrive special. What makes this limited edition hardware version extra is that it comes preloaded with 20 exclusive premium tone models. And instead of just giving you the bare amps, IK captured complex stacked rigs, only available in these pedals. In fact, let's put that up on screen. If you want to know which 20 tones are exclusive to the pedal, pause in 3, 2, 1. Welcome back. The pedal itself features a custom vintage brown finish, it's just brown, and it is strictly limited to 1,000 units worldwide. So, IK Multimedia are certainly selling tickets to the FOMO train. All aboard! Choo-choo! Sorry. Registering the pedal also unlocks the full software collections on your computer, so you can use these tones in your DAW, and that gives you 60 exclusive tones in total. Now, I've said it before, and I will say it again, I'm not really comfortable when brands recreate Dumble-style products, because so few of us have actually played a real Dumble, and even the real Dumble amps may not sound the same as their serial number neighbor. But that being said, IK Multimedia really do have an amazing vault of amazing amps in Italy, and I've been really happy with the Tone X stuff so far. So I'm going to make an exception. Furthermore, this is one of the best sounding pieces of music for a demo video I've heard in a long time. The official IK Multimedia video is simply mind-boggling that this is not a real amp. My guitar tone tingles were a tingling, and well, take a listen, see what you think. Genuinely enjoyed that so much that I'm going to listen to it again in its entirety later. It is available on the IK Multimedia YouTube channel if you're as excited about it as me and you want to go and hear the full version. Anyways, the Tone X1 Double Special Limited Edition lands at a street price of around 280 notes. But if you miss out on the pedal, or if you can make do with only 40 new tones, you can buy the plug-in version for your computer for about 180 notes. For roughly 300,000 notes worth of boutique amplifier tones in a pedal that does fit in your pocket, the gasometer is a resonating, resounding buy it now. Now, if your gear addictions lean more towards high-performance Japanese-crafted shred machines, Ibanez have just dropped something truly stunning. These are the new Ibanez J.Custom RG8620AH models. Ibanez's j.custom line represents some of the best manufacturing in Japan, crafted by an elite group of very highly skilled luthiers to ensure that unparalleled sound and maximum playability that Ibanez are famous for. They've just unveiled these two new Shred-tastic limited edition 6-string models. That's another limited edition product. I think they might all be limited. No. So much limited edition at the moment. Anyway, let's talk specs of this Ibanez, because they are ridiculous. The body features an African mahogany back capped with a 4mm ash top. I do like a nice piece of ash. Attached to that, via an all-access bolt-on joint, is a Super Wizard AS 5-piece maple and wenge neck, which is topped with a rosewood fretboard, and that has 24 jumbo frets. And the jumbo frets have this meticulous J.Custom fret edge treatment. The sort of fret edge treatment that keeps me up at night. In fact, the fretwork is so beautiful, it deserves a full screen 5 seconds.
It's so beautiful, it deserves a full screen 5 seconds.
Oh, be still, my beating heart. Where were we? Oh, yes. Where's my heart? There. Luminlay side dots for the dark stages, and that iconic, quintessential Tree of Life inlay. For the engine room, Ibanez went with the classic high-output passive Damasio combination, a PAF Pro in the neck, and a tone zone in the bridge. You control these with a 3-way lever switch, master volume, master tone, and a dedicated coil tap switch for that maximum tonal versatility. And of course, since it is a top-tier RG, it does feature the legendary Low Pro edge locking tremolo bridge and the Goto machine heads, all decked out in satin black hardware. It's absolutely gorgeous. You can pick it up into, I would say, very sleek satin finishes, which Ibanez are calling Anvil Grey Burst Flat and Ghost Fleet Blue Burst. And I can't decide which is my favourite. I keep flip-flopping between the two. And I know I'm not much of a shredder. I'm not any kind of a shredder. But there is something about top-tier RGs, well, all RGs, that make me want to play them. They look fun. These master-built instruments come with a hardshell case, a multi-tool, Goto strap lock pins, and a certificate of authenticity. Let's talk money. If you want one of these, you're going to need around 3,000 notes. And that is a huge chunk of change. But if you're into RGs, you'll know what you're looking at. I do have a lot of time for these, but I also understand that they might be a little bit too pointy for some people. And also there are other RGs available that cover a lot of the ground that these master-built ones do. But if you need / really want a precision instrument that plays as fast as you can think, you can't go wrong with a J.Custom Ibanez. The gasometer is firmly at add to cart. The shotgun is a very clever little box that enables you to plug in your guitar and then send it to up to 4 different amps. And if you've never played guitar through 2 amps at the same time, or even 4, it is glorious. Have a listen to this guitar through the Blackstar St. James EL34. And here's the same guitar piece recorded through the Classic 20 from Peavey. And now, here's that guitar with both amps at the same time, panned in stereo. Now, there are other ways to send one guitar to several different amps. But the cool thing about the shotgun is it's 9-volt operated, so it can sit on your pedal board. It's got a phase switch. It's got a ground lift, so if you have any nasty noises going on, you can just lift that on each one of the alternate sends. And, well, it's a Radial, so it's built well. So yes, a big thank you to Radial for sponsoring this episode of TWIG. And if you want more info about the shotgun, there are links in the video description. On with the show! Let's step away from the high-gain shred machines for a minute and get a little weird. If you're a fan of creating massive, cavernous soundscapes, which I am, the brilliant minds in Akron, Ohio have dropped something exactly for you. This is the Earthquaker Devices Towers Stereo Reverberant Filter. It's fun to say. Earthquaker has a long history of making incredible ambient pedals and noisemakers, but Towers takes things in a different direction. Instead of just having a standard delay or reverb, this pedal combines a lush, expansive reverb core, kernel if you will, with a highly tweakable multi-mode filter. It is a true stereo pedal, meaning it's not just for your guitar. You could plug in a synth, a drum machine, or 2 guitars. You can use the filter to aggressively sweep the frequencies of the reverb tails, creating pretty much everything from dark, murky, lo-fi ambiance to bright, resonant, and synthy stuff. It features top-mounted jacks, relay-based soft touch switching, nice, and an expression pedal input so you can physically sweep the filter on the fly with your foot for those massive cinematic swells. Now, of course, I've watched the video that Jamie made, and I was instantly drawn into the beautiful soundscapes that he made. It is not one of those pedals that might be needed in every band context, but if you're a stay-at-home guitar player who doesn't have any friends, then this is a great way to make music on your own. It is a bit on the pricey side to make it a no-brainer purchase, but if you don't have an ambient reverb pedal and you're looking for one, this should be on your list. Let's have a listen. So, if you're a shoegazer or a synth head, or you just want to get lost making ambient noise for 3 hours instead of practicing your scales, this is exactly what you need. It drops at between 300 and 400 notes, and the gasometer, that's a solid add to cart. If the pristine sweeping stereo filters of the EQD Towers are a little bit too hi-fi and clean for your setup, let's swing over to, well, the other end of the spectrum with some delay. The Master Builders, no, that doesn't work. I'm trying to say B and Builders at the same time. Imagine it works. The Master Builders in California have been busy, and they just dropped a beautifully weird new box. I've got it here. There it is. This is the Beatronics Pollinator Hazy Delay. Now, Beatronics are already legendary for having arguably the best aesthetic design in the pedal industry. It's certainly up there. But where can they take this design now? It seems like they've got dozens of fuzz pedals in their lineup, not that I'm complaining, and they've created some extremely complicated things like the Zombie. So, where now? Well, here, I guess. The Pollinator Hazy Delay is all about what happens to your sound after you play the note. It is a huge departure from the Hive. This is actually their first fully digital pedal. But instead of giving you pristine, perfect digital echo, they use that DSP to create a hive full of deeply evolving atmospheric textures. And I dig it. In fact, yes. No, I do dig it. Very much so. At its core, it's a modulated delay, but it works completely differently than most. Instead of just wiggling the delay time to give you that standard pitch vibrato, the Pollinator Hazy Delay modulates the signal first using either a filter or a tremolo, and then it delays that. And this means that each repeat is actually a copy of a moving modulated sound, allowing it to bloom and shift and evolve, which is way beyond a traditional echo. You get 8 completely distinctive modes, split into 4 with a filter and 4 with a tremolo. Some run the delay forward, others in reverse. Some push the repeats up an octave up and up and up. No, just 1 octave up. And there are even, which is it? I know it's number 2. Is it 2 and 7? These are Queen Bee modes, where the delay buffer is read twice as fast as it's recorded. I don't know how it does that, but it unlocks some incredibly experimental rhythmic chaos. I reviewed this pedal this week and in depth, and although it was really hard for me to get into this pedal, as it is something genuinely new to me, I'm really glad that I experimented a lot and ended up getting some fantastic sounds that I haven't made before. You can see that review up there if you want by clicking the little card thingy. As always with Beatronics, it's both physical art and an unusual way of creating new sounds. Can you imagine pairing this with the Earthquaker Devices towers? That might be just too much weirdness. Nah. If you want a pedal that blurs the line between traditional delay, modulation, and atmospheric sound design, this is one of the ones that will do it. But it will require some creativity to get the most out of it, and that's on you. This lands right at around the 250 note mark. Yeah. And the gasometer is again a firm add to cart. Yes, add to cart.
Andy's Pick of the Week.
And finally, we have arrived at my pick of the week. If you've ever played a gig in a mid-sized venue or a club or at a festival, you have probably played through one of these. It is arguably the most ubiquitous backline amplifier on the planet, the ultimate, no, let's not say ultimate, a very common and reliable pedal platform, and unbelievably, it is officially turning 30 years old. That is scary. Having a moment of that being 30. This is the Fender Hot Rod Deluxe 30th Anniversary Edition, and it is gorgeous. And I hate that I'm saying that. Fender has decided to celebrate 3 decades of this workhorse by giving it the premium treatment. At its core, its kernel, if you will, it is still the 40-watt 1x12 tube combo that we all know and love. It's driven by 3 12AX7 preamp tubes and a pair of 6 L6 power tubes, giving you that massive, glassy Fender clean headroom across the normal channel, plus then there's the drive, and the more drive channels for when things need to get real nasty. But for the 30th anniversary, they've dressed it up quite beautifully. It features a custom black Western textured vintage, have I said vintage already? Yeah, it looks like that. It's black, and I love it. So it looks so good, but it is putting me off my game. It is a brown and gold grill cloth, commemorative 30th anniversary badge on the control panel, and yes, it is making me tingle. Crucially, the anniversary editions almost always feature some sort of upgraded speaker, and this one features a 12-inch Celestian Creamback, one of my favorites, which should make an even better canvas for those overdrive pedals that we talk about every week. It also features a modified preamp circuit for better note definition, according to Fender, when you overdrive it, because the overdrive in these is not necessarily the most loved sound on the planet. Then the onboard spring reverb has also been tweaked for improved smoothness. It is the almost undisputed king of the gigging musician. I'd love to see this, like numbers, up against the Boss Katana. I wonder what that's at right now. Anyway, they've dressed this workhorse up in a tuxedo, and I love it. The only downside, and it's quite a big one, if you think about it, is it almost doesn't make sense. I'm all for it, and I love it, but it lands right around the 1,500 note mark. And you can pick up Hot Rod Deluxe amps pretty much anywhere all day long for less than half of that price. I myself have owned 2 Hot Rod Deluxe amps in my time, and I paid €350 for the first one and €400 for the second one. No, they didn't have the cream back in it, and they didn't have all the modified preamp circuit and all that niceness, but they did still do a great job. And there's actually there must be some videos on the channel with me playing one. Must be. If don't go watch those, oh my goodness, that's from an a prehistoric age. I shouldn't have mentioned that. If you're looking for a tube amp that can really deliver on price and performance, then you can't go wrong with a used Hot Rod Deluxe. But if you're a fan of the Hot Rod Deluxe and Fender's limited edition treatment, and all this marketing has worked on you, then, like me, you want one. So the gasometer is embarrassingly at wallet on fire right now. How embarrassing is that? This is the true definition of gas for me, because I have wonderful amps that cover most things any guitar player could ever need. I have little to no need for a Hot Rod Deluxe, even a used one. And if I did need one, the sensible thing is to buy a used one again. And I did actually look at the prices of used ones, considering I might need it again. Stupid. I don't. But this doesn't stop me thinking about this 30th anniversary. Well done, Fender. You've got me. Calm down yourself, Mr. Andrew. A massive thank you to everyone who watches and subscribes and tolerates my nonsense week after week. I do have a blast making this show. Thanks for watching. A huge thank you to the Patreon supporters scrolling past my face right now. Hello there! And a huge hello there! And thanks to the YouTube members on screen as well. You are total legends, all of you. And as always, a special shout out to the top tier members. Here we go. Antonio Cruz Barreto, Buddha Blue, Boom Shakalaka, Buzzle, Chris Kelly, Craig's Fist, David Meyer, Dirk, Doug Paget, Fuzz Onkel, Giving Andy Money Makes Me Feel Good, Yendrik Strelka, Johnny McBadminton, Mike CQB241, Mike Lute, Andrew Morgan, Craig VB, Darius Lives, Gary O'Neill, holy moly, that's 8675309, Josh Tamberg, Man Dude Bro, PQ Deads, Robin Callie, Sarang Narayan, Sanya Chen, Sarah Marie, and Southern Panda 33. Oh, I almost made it to the end, but I breathed. I'm now feeling a bit dizzy. Woohoo! Thank you, top tier members. That list is getting longer and longer. I don't know what I'm going to do in future. As you've stayed to the end, here's a little fact that isn't true, but sounds like it could be. Did you know Eddie Van Halen's famous Brown sound wasn't named after a color? It was named after James Brown, because Eddie originally wanted the guitar to sound like a funky scream. But he accidentally lowered the voltage on his amp, so much so that he created a new genre of metal instead. Not true. Sounds like it could be. See you next week!